Hello and welcome to All for United with me, Rusty, and to the good, the bad, and the ugly. The show with 3 topics and 3 questions, and I want the guests to answer the questions. I'll answer the questions, and I want the people in the comments, went the wrong way, to answer the questions. It always does me that. I never know
every time. It's literally just in your head. Do the opposite of what you're supposed to do, but I never ever works out for me ever.
Orientation all over the place.
Exactly, mate. Exactly, that's what I am. But welcome everybody in the comments. Happy Monday. It's a new day, it's a new week, and it's a new time slot for the good, the bad, the ugly. So make sure you remember that every Monday now. We're here Mondays instead of Wednesdays because obviously we've got the Champions League eventually. So you don't need us crazy bastards around when that's on, to be fair.
But Rusty, I don't think that'll be a problem for very long with the current backline. So.
Well, I know, mate. Forever the pessimist there. Well, we've not even started our campaign yet, and Joe's got us exiting in the group stages. Nice one, mate.
It wouldn't be Joe without acting like a twit.
That is my thing. That is my thing.
That's why we like you, mate.
Talking about twits, let's introduce all of you. This week, I've got Joe, I've got James, and making his debut, fresh meat, is a virgin to the show. It's Scottish man, Reese.
He's a virgin in real life too.
How are we doing?
Oh, yeah, I'm getting all is good, all is good. And Joe, that is not true.
I've got Iron Brew, especially just for having a Scottish person on. Okay, Joe's on every week.
I have been Irish every week, and you have never had a pint of Guinness, okay?
Right, I promise next Monday it's a pint of Guinness. James, you're in Nottingham, so I don't know what I have to do for that.
Just to be a Man United fan.
Yeah, you just got to be sad. That'll do. That's all we do.
Just be really depressed, and then great impersonation of anybody from Nottingham. Right, don't forget to hit the like button, guys. It is an interactive show, so join in with the comments. I got it the right way. If you're on Periscope or Facebook, brilliant. Cheers for the thumbs up. Get yourself across to YouTube if you want. It'd be nice if you could do. Get yourself in the comments. The first topic this week on the good, the bad, the ugly is the good. Now, I've gone with quite a contentious one. I have gone with VAR, okay? Because for me, VAR's kind of like, I don't know, it's like that friend that you don't see that often. And, you kind of want to go out with him. You kind of don't want to go out with him. But if you do get on board with him, it's not a bad night out, is it? But then again, you don't want to see him again for another 6 weeks afterwards. But for us this weekend, this is why I've made it a good point, is it did come to our rescue on 2 occasions. I say rescue, it just implemented the law, didn't it?
Yeah. About time as well. About time.
Yeah. So what was your go on, Reese? Considering it's your debut performance, what's your take on VAR this weekend? Let's try to keep it a little bit positive at first, because I have made this the topic for good, and eventually we can get to criticising it by the time we get to James and Joe.
Well, being good then. All right, then let's be good. VAR's contentious. We all know I've never fully been for VAR, but the way it's been lately, it's been used properly. I've been quite consistent with VAR that the way it should be used is the referee should still have the final decision. The referee should use the monitor at all times. They shouldn't just listen through the ear. I saw that in our game, the referee went to the monitor twice, perfect. And I noticed in another games, the referees just listened in and then they just walked off. I believe John Moss done it in the Chelsea game. So it just sums up who's actually a referee and who's a useless prick, John Moss. And I'm glad the way the VAR was used. Obviously, VAR's never been the best tested tool. It's worked elsewhere, but it hasn't worked properly in the Premier League. But at least they're starting to see things done properly. So I can say that. Yeah, by God, to be quite honest. What did you miss? Brownie says this every time he comes onto one of my videos. What did I miss? Usually it's becoming quite a pantomime now. I like it. Usually it's right near the end of the video so I have to explain everything. All you've missed this time is we're talking about VAR and how it did have actually a good impact this weekend, if you're a United fan. And Reece just made a good point there that it does look like the referees are getting more of a say in it. They are going across to their monitors and saying, right, yeah,
think you should have the final decision on this one. And then they're putting their version of cross of what they've seen. And that's where it should be. It shouldn't be some other referee sat 20 miles away with a cup of tea and a bourbon biscuit who's making final choice. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think they're afraid. I think they're afraid to do it personally. I mean, it's maybe a contentious opinion. Other people might disagree. But that's what I believe. I believe the referees actually don't show any authority on the pitch when they used to. Instead, they're just relying on someone in their ear saying, actually, this is the correct decision, when in fact, 9 times out of 10, it's the wrong decision. So
it's true. And I talked on my show before about Pierluigi Collina. You know what I mean? He would have took no shit. He would have been like hitting VAR in the face.
Yeah.
Smashed his headbutt in the screen and going, I make the rules round here. And nobody would argue. But he is on the FIFA board of committee for referees, so he's making some of these decisions. You know what I mean? But this weekend, obviously, 2 decisions went in our favour, Joe, which was a bit of a treat, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, look, it's like a broken clock is right twice a day. I'm completely and utterly against VAR. And I think a lot of the decisions that are made and are given initially, and then they go to VAR and go, wait, was I right? When maybe if VAR wasn't even an option, that penalty wouldn't have been given. Now, I will say the likelihood is that the handball right at the end probably wouldn't have been seen, just for the nature of it. It was right at the end of the game. They went up. They were so defiant that it happened that he went and checked it. So that was like where it actually came into it for once, that it was actually useful. But like overall, was there really that many decisions across football that were so awfully bad every single week that we felt we needed video assistant refereeing? Or was it like once every 6 months that would happen to a big club that someone would be offside or there might be a handball or whatever? But like no one anticipated the fact that you could go back seemingly an infinite amount of time in the match and say, oh, he was offside during this play, or there was a handball here. Like all that stuff is just absolute and utter bullshit. I think every single positive it has, every time, I think I've only seen 2 games that I can think of where the match has been enhanced from VAR. And that was from the Brighton, the game of the weekend, the most recent one, and when Spurs knocked out City in the Champions League. Like, that was great. But, like, that was the time I was like, VAR made that game better. You know, because there was two huge VAR decisions and it got them both right. But overall, we don't need it. We never had it. Goal line technology.
Sterling, wasn't it?
Yeah. Goal line technology is the only one that I felt we needed. And that's a one-time mistake that made with the Villa-Bournemouth game. Where Bournemouth scored, but it didn't work. But that's like 1 in a billion chance that'll happen again. That's the only one we need. VAR for any positive, there's about 15 for every positive that take away from it. So not for me.
Yeah, you banged on as well. Like, did we really need it? Was there that much going on in the world of football? That many mistakes that it was really pissing us off? No, it wasn't. This has pissed us off more than the mistakes that we've talked about in the past.
I've always been against that.
Yeah. Do you know, like for everything that went against you, it went for you a week later. Do you know what I mean? It always evened out overall, and that's just the way it is. You know. One thing I will say as well, I don't like is how it's obviously for us it's hated, adored, never ignored. But one thing I hate personally is like, why has got to be one rule for us, but for everyone else it's got to be so hypocritical. When you had I don't know if you've seen it, but Roy Hodgson's interview where it went for him last week, and then this week he's crying, bitching, and moaning. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, it goes for you one week, it goes against you the other week. If you're so against it, fine. If you're for it, great. But don't be a hypocrite week in, week out. Just stick to what you believe in. Don't. Yeah, but football managers are politicians. Like it's hard to get
corrupt.
Yeah. Well, no, I meant like it's hard for them to get a straight answer of what you actually feel. It tends to just be after a match, whatever.
Neil Warnock.
Yeah, Neil Warnock.
Neil Warnock is the funniest example.
Yeah.
Just say hello to George Dimitriadis in the comments. United Greek Supporters Club, mate. Thanks for joining us. A big fan of Stravlos Flatley myself, mate. If you know him, big ups to to their Greek dancing troupe. Absolutely love him.
From Cyprus, weren't they?
I love that.
This guy, mate.
Good work, James.
This guy knows what's going on.
They're Cypriots.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake. I thought they were Greek. All this time, I've been lying to myself. I've been voting. You know what I mean? I've been voting for Greece. I've been voting for Greece at the European Song Contest just based on the fact that I thought Stavros Rattled were from there. Never mind, that's me being wasting my votes every year. James, how are you doing, mate? And what's your take on obviously the two decisions at Old Trafford this season and VAR in general?
I'm all right to start off. Obviously, barring the fact that I'm in the Midlands, as you've pointed out, but I think it's very opinionated into it. It all depends on the person you ask about whether VAR is good or not. I think they've clearly introduced it to get the fans off referees back. So I think the abuse referees were getting was becoming unacceptable in their minds. So it's understandable why they've done it. But I think the Brighton United game was a perfect example of how VAR can work. Obviously, it needs to be a bit more streamlined. You can't have 3-4 minutes between each decision. That's just ridiculous. But like, I've seen a couple of comments saying you can't even celebrate a goal now, which is spot on. It's taken a lot of the emotion out of the game. But there wasn't a single wrong decision in the Brighton United game. Like the penalties that were given were penalties. The penalties that weren't given weren't penalties. And like, it was just a perfect advert for it. I think last season was very, very, very ropey in terms of it seems like they weren't allowed to go to the monitors, which, you know, how can a person who's 20 miles away referee a game? Just doesn't make sense. But now I think just one step at a time, we're getting referees to look at the monitors so they can actually see themselves. You know, they've experienced the sort of, well, I can't think of what you'd call it. They've experienced the emotion within that specific game to understand what calls should be made and what shouldn't and stuff like that. I think a lot of that goes into it. So one step at a time, I think eventually people will see that it's for the greater good. But yeah, at the minute, I'm still very 50-50 with it.
I agree with you. I think in the long run, it will be for the greater good. Joe's not, I can see you not agreeing. I'll come to you in a second, mate. But for me, I think eventually, once we do get the hang of it, once we do find something a bit more streamlined, a bit more fluidity to it, then we will get the, as Brown Knight says, VAR is technology. Technology in sport. It's there for the betterment of sport. Apparently, it's there in cricket and NFL. I do know a lot of NFL fans. I like it myself, and they're very critical of it and saying it's getting too tedious and slowing their game down even more than it already is. He also asked where is Doug. Doug's a Liverpool fan, so if anybody wants to keep us up to date with Liverpool score, please do, but only if Arsenal are winning. Can't give a shit if Liverpool are winning.
Yes. If they score, we don't give. If Liverpool score, don't give a fuck. If Arsenal score, great.
That's it. That's the only time. Because I will. Yeah, I just
wanted to go back to Brown Knight's comment, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The Betterment comment, if you can just bring it back up just for 1 second, just so I can read that again. Brown Knight's Betterment comment about that one. I agree with him, but it's to reduce refereeing errors. But the one thing we need to remember is it's at the moment it's not perfect, but it's also killing the emotion of a game. Like, we could score a fantastic goal or score a fantastic team goal, or any team could score a goal, and it's crucial to a game. But nowadays you're like, oh, is it going to count? Because you could have your fingernail offside, and it's counted off, and it's going to reduce these errors, but it's over time it's just going to make the game worse, less enjoyable, and people are going to be like, what's the point now?
I think that's the kind of feeling that Joe's got in it as well.
Yeah, but I would say for the betterment of the game, you're implying that the game is broken to begin with. The point with football is about supporting your club and supporting your team or wherever it is. It's not I don't know what FIFA are playing at trying to make it. It's not like there was any decisions went wrong, but that's all part of it. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't. Why were people who were they listening to saying, "Oh, we need this technology in"? They don't listen to the fans anyway. So obviously there's an interior motive going on. There has to be. I don't understand why they would force this in. Goal line technology, I was completely on board with. Some people weren't. Straight away, there was nothing that happens there. If a goal goes across the line, the buzz in the hand, that's it. Do you know what I mean? There was nothing that takes away from the game. But with VAR, there's just too much shit, and it's not gonna improve the game. It's like it was.
Goal line technology would have been enough for now. And me, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I'd have preferred goal line technology to VAR. That's fine. You don't need VAR. The referee should have the final decision. Period. They are the official in the game. It should be their decision. Goal line technology. That's a betterment. That's a betterment to the game.
Yeah.
Of course, Just jump on Jamie.
Yes.
That's a
Get
lie.
it up, Liverpool.
It's a
You
lie.
little scamp. You little scamp. I knew that was bullshit, but I still checked before when I was backstage. Then I was like, what a little bastard. Then he came in.
The only one thing is I did say 2-1 Arsenal, so I'm hoping I'm wrong today and it stays a clean sheet.
Yeah. Right, anyway, enough of VAR. But the question for the good, which is based on VAR, is if you could give VAR a more suitable name with a lovely acronym to go with it, what would it be? And James, I will come to you first, my man. So, wait 1 second. Guys in the comments as well, just repeat that question. We always do a question at the end. If you were to give VAR, if you can think of something off the top of your head, that is, I've given these boys a few hours to think about it. If you could, I've just spoiled that, the whole illusion of the show now, haven't I?
I was saying, Rusty, I did not think about this all day, so it is pretty fresh to me as well.
Yeah, okay, Joe's lying, but everybody else in the comments, if you could think of a more appropriate name for VAR with an acronym, go for it, and I'll bang them out. But James, we'll come to you first, dude.
I think in my sort of acronym, the first letter is very interchangeable based on what word you're willing to use. I think we'll keep the show PG, and I'll go with STF. Damn. So I'll go with screw the fans, but obviously you can replace that first word with whatever you want, just because they've clearly chosen it's either going to help the players enjoy with the game and the teams, or it's going to help the fans. And they clearly chose the players and the teams with getting these results right and making sure they weren't hard done by. They've clearly just thought fans, the emotion of the game really doesn't matter that much as long as the decisions are right. So yeah, I'll go with STF.
STF, screw the fans, is very, very appropriate, isn't it? Because it is literally they've gone with the money, they've gone with the players, they've gone with the satisfaction for them and for the referees and for all the big wigs, and not thought about the people who make football tick, who make football work, who make football what it is. Football is nothing without fans. So yeah, bang on, James Reese. What are you saying, dude?
I have gone for KTS, and that stands for kill the spirit. Because that's literally what it does. The VAR has killed the spirit. I love watching football, but frankly, if I watch a game now and VAR gets involved, I immediately just mute the TV. And my heart sinks. My heart sinks because to say it loosely, I'm bored at my nut. It's so disgraceful. That this piece of technology has it's made the game unenjoyable, and that's not what football's about. Football's about eruption of fans, euphoria of a goal, euphoria of your team winning, and just the excitement of a game. And now it's I can't be fucked watching the football.
I don't think I'll ever not be fucked watching the football, but I see what you mean. It does just feel like momentary, momentary moments. What to think of two words that weren't so exclusively put together, but it does just take away a little bit of magic. And I love these. So KTS, kill the
spirit. Kill the spirit.
I like this because these two so far have just sounded like you've reeling off the STDs you've had lately. But
fuck's sake,
we've got
no truth to that.
Reese is a virgin.
You're a well, it's wrong for one, but I hate you, Joe.
Roland has gone with POF, which is also a dating site, which Joe is probably on right now whilst he's back. Pile of shit, that's fair enough. It has sucked the enjoyment out of the game momentarily, hasn't it? Again, let's hope they can get on top of it. Not a bad one. I like this one. WTC, wait to celebrate. That's a good one, Brown Knight. So the last appropriate. It's appropriate as well. I like it. Last person up. Let's see what you're going to say, Joe.
Yeah, I went I really regret doing my one. I've gone really pretentious. Okay, and I've gone with if bish oots is fun and IELTS awada t is pitch piat app. Okay.
What?
Okay. I know it sounds like a Welsh town, but what it stands for is I hate VAR, because it shows how out of touch the FA are with football. Out of touch with what football needs, and instead of saving clubs which are dying around, they have to make it their priority to give as many penalties in a game as possible.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do a little duo here, mate. I'll be the commentator. We talk about slowing the game down enough, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that we're not sure if that's offside or not. So we're just gonna go to
if pish who fun and no stick wada. Tiak up.
I can't take this.
I tell you what, Gainer, that would suck every bit of enjoyment out of the game, wouldn't it? Fucking hell, fire.
Joe, you said pretentious. That was worse.
Yeah, so that was so funny though.
NHL, no, hang on, love it.
No, hang on. Karen's gone for let's look at the screen. It's very just like literally catchphrase. Say what you see, Taryn.
Some very good ones there, like some very good ones.
Yeah, there's been some good ones. Well done for people in the comments. I still can't get over Joe, to be quite honest. But I've gone for mine is called totally interfering technology tit. That's it. Simple as that. Just because I think it's an absolute tit, and I don't want it in my game. Goal line technology, I do, but tit,
yeah,
I don't. I just want to hear Joe say it again. Might do that at some point.
I've written down here if anyone else wants to go.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Zoom in.
There, can you see it?
He's not really helped himself either by splitting it up. He just wrote it as one word.
Yeah, all one. Oh, because it's one acronym. It's not 3 or 4. Let the people at home have a go at that.
My facial expression sums up.
Yeah, it's a spot on facial expression. That's how you face when you're trying to pronounce it. To be fair,
yeah,
pretty much.
RTF have been the fans. Thank you very much for joining in there. We're going to move on to the next topic. So we've done the good. It's now the bad part of the good, the bad, the ugly, and the bad this week. For me, obviously, we got over the line. We got the 3 points that we needed. Got off after full time as well. Creating history. That'll be a quiz question in 20 years to come.
Yeah.
But we look tired. We look fatigued. And this happened at the back end of last season as well. So it's not something new that we're coming into and saying, oh, we've had no pre-season, we need more match fitness. We do, obviously. But back in the season, the players look fatigued, particularly like Pogba. Bruno was out on his legs, on his last legs. Maguire, Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, especially since we've come back this season, very tired. Now, 2 things here for me. Number one, obviously, fatigue bodies lead to fatigue minds. That's showing. We're having to put in just passion and pure grit to get over the line, which is not going to get us very far moving forward. And also, do we think there's something wrong at Old Trafford with the coaching and the fitness side of it? Because it's not just that. We've had injury problems in the past 18 months too. So they're all kind of interlinked, aren't they? So for me at the moment, there's something underlying with the fitness coach. I'm not sure who's head of fitness coaching at Old Trafford. I should have done me research before this, but as we know, I never fucking do that.
Someone in the comments, please check.
Yeah, someone in the comments just nip across and see who is actually our fitness and well-being coach or whatever they get called.
If you put it in before I speak, I'll steal it and pretend I thought of it. So thank you very much.
So what we'll do is we'll go to Joe first. We can't steal anything.
Shit.
What do you think about the fatigue players, mate?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a thing as well as like there's obviously an issue with the fitness at Old Trafford at the Carrington, but also it's a case of not having enough squad players that can relieve the first team players so they can't get tired. So they can come off after 65 minutes or whatever, and it won't be a huge stretch. We just don't have the bench that we used to. And of course, in a preseason, like that's fine, that's part of it, but it's not the be all and end all. We need more players. That's just it. There is a problem. There's a problem with us. There's a problem with Arsenal. There's a reason why all of our players are getting injured, and if you look at Liverpool, it's just not happening, and they use the same 11 players every fucking week. So like, there's literally no reason, with all the money that is in the club, why we can't be up to the same standard as someone 20 miles down the road from us. So it's incredibly frustrating, and it's wrong. So there's an issue with the fitness, and there's also an issue with the squad itself. If we had better players on the bench, then we wouldn't be having this problem.
Yeah, that's a great point. By the way, strength and conditioning coach. That's the words I was looking for when I went for fitness and well-being. And it's a guy. You what? Sorry.
Is Michael Clegg's on the book somewhere? I think he's physio. I can't remember.
It says here, his strength and conditioning is Thomas Webster. First team strength and... Oh, no, that's... I don't know. That's cricket. Yeah. That's cricket. I put Old Trafford in.
Oh, my God.
And it's come up with...
it's Charlie Owen, actually. I just remembered. It's Charlie Owen.
Good man.
He's the guy who did an online training session, I think.
What's that? I just remembered right before. So if anyone commented, like I just remembered it before.
Did you remember it, or did you just Google it?
I did. Well, it might have just come into my eyes in some sort of fashion, but I definitely did not read it off anyone named Dolores Craig.
Oh, there we go.
I literally just said I didn't read it off anyone named Dolores Craig.
I missed that. I was going to yeah, Charlie Owen is the fitness coach. Fair enough. Dolores, if you know that, or if you Googled it, do you know anything about him? Because there's obviously some underlying issue with our fitness. Joe made a very good point there, and I spoke to this with my brother about Liverpool seem to play the same 11 week in, week out, and have done for nearly 2 seasons now. And they're in great condition, and they just go and go and go. They're constantly drinking Gatorade, or they're on drugs. It's
endurance.
Mad endurance, James. What are you saying, mate?
It's not just a fitness issue, is it? I think it's the whole coaching staff got their coaching badges out of a cereal box, and they've somehow managed to end up at the biggest club in England. When was the last player that, barring the academy, because the academy staff's completely different?
Stop 1 second.
Is it actually? Is it real? Is that the real
one?
Yeah.
I just looked.
Go on, Arsenal. It's only my dream team, and I've only got 10 points this week, so I'm dead shit, so I'm happy about that.
Oh, you've got him. I've only got I had to take out Tierney. Injury. Prick.
Right, sorry, James. You can understand why we have to jump in with that one. Up the Arsenal. Go on.
Very understandable, yeah. But yeah, barring the academy, because that set of stuff I'm completely excluding. The signings we brought into the first team. Who was the last player that genuinely improved at United? That's no coincidence, is it? I can't name one. That might just be my lack of knowledge, but I don't know if anyone else can. But that just shows that it's not just the fitness coaching that's not up to standard. It's even since Fergie left, I don't think there's been a player that's come in and genuinely improved. So I think fitness coaching goes along with everything else. There's a big underlying problem at United where, yes, we're blaming the Glazers. Some people can blame Ollie as well, but if you really want this club to do well, it's not going to happen immediately. But you've got to replace everyone, sort of head to bottom, aren't you? Really?
I guess so. But do you really believe that nobody's improved?
Martial, I can name a few.
Greenwood, Rashford, even Fred.
Well, yeah, I said, but if you don't count players that have come through the academy, because I say I'm completely distancing myself from them. Yeah, maybe Martial. I don't think Fred's improved. You know, he was one of the hottest prospects in the world when he was at Shakhtar Donetsk. He tore Man City apart. But Harry Maguire is an obvious candidate who's steeply declined since he's come to United. Whether he's just living off the back of that 2018 World Cup performance or not, I don't know. I didn't really watch him at Leicester, but there's no way we've been conned into paying 80 million for this player. He must have been good at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, fitness, attacking, defending coach, everything is poor, not up to standard. And I think that explains why we're so knackered all the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's very valid, James. Obviously, I walked into this discussion just saying, was it a strength and conditioning? Was it a fitness coach? And you've made some really valid points. Obviously, we'll go to Reece in a second between Joe and James. Literally, it's not just them; it's the coaching staff too. Yeah. It's the lack of depth as well. So players are having to play more games than they realistically should be doing. Also, by the way, Maine has fucking scored. I think that's what Joe was grunting at a couple of minutes back. The worst time to concede just after you've scored. You're the most vulnerable once you've just scored. Cheers for letting us know, Jamie. But if it goes 2-1 to Liverpool, do not put that in the comments. Yeah. We don't need that shit in our life. Reece, can you elaborate any further on Joe and James? There's some great comments.
I don't disagree with either comment, actually. I think in terms of what's been mentioned about coaching, I agree. I always go back, and Rusty, you're going to agree with this because I've pretty much said on every YouTube or tweet I've put up is I always go back to Gary Neville's comment after, which led to Mourinho getting sacked, but they need to reset and everything. And he's always reiterated the words, United need the best in class. And I believe that. I still reaffirm that. And I believe that the coaches we've got, I mean, McKenna's a good coach. He's one of the best young coaches in the world, and I'll still stand by that. Yeah. But the likes of Mike Phelan, I respect the man. He's past it. Michael Carrick, loved him as a player, but I don't think he's good enough as a first team coach. I don't think he should be in the main coaching team. I think he should probably be in the youth team, at least until he's got more experience of coaching, because I don't think he's actually ready for the top level. I believe we need top level coaches that can come in and go and do the distance with Ole, because the coaching's letting him down. And I'm Ole in, but he's also not exempt from criticism. I think that's another thing is, I got asked this the other day by someone, and I can't argue against it. And they went to me, "You're all in, but you never criticise him." And I went, "Yeah, I don't have to criticise him in public, but like I'm still like, if I've got an issue with something, I'm still going to speak up about it." And the one thing I don't like is he's always sitting on his arse. I want him to be just a little bit animated, just a little bit, like on the pitch, just like giving out instructions, and he'll do things behind the scenes. He's a very good man manager, and like people say he's a PE teacher and he's got no tactics. Bullshit. He does have tactics. He does have that. And you mentioned Maguire, James. Frankly, like the defence beside him isn't really suitable for him. And I watched a few games for Leicester, and he was beaten a lot by balls over his head, and he couldn't catch a striker, particularly I think it was Man City Leicester 2 years ago. He was beaten over his head, and I think it was Jesus that scored. Like he just couldn't catch him, and because he was playing too high a line. Yeah. So he is going to need a quicker defensive partner. And at the minute, as much as I love Lindelof, and people know I do, I prefer him in midfield, like as the holding role. I would rather have Bailly at centre back because he's got the pace. But we do need, and I reiterate again, we do need the best in class for coaching, because there is something wrong with our fitness as well, because I know our season ended about 40 days ago, but you don't go from even just being a little bit tired from having a run in. You shouldn't be that lacking in match fitness so fast and tired. You shouldn't be. In any sport, your career's done if you're that bad for fitness. Like, it's shocking.
Yeah, I agree with you. With the coaching staff thing, I love Kieran McKenna. I've done a lot of research on Kieran McKenna, and I think he's going to be one of the best. He's one of the best young coaches in the world right now, and I think he's going to be one of the best coaches in the world. And really, when it comes to everything, apart from Ole, it's Kieran McKenna who's in charge of the first team training sessions. That's it. He's the person who puts out the plan for the week. He's the one who implements it. And then obviously Mike Phelan has got his own job. Obviously as assistant manager to Ole, and Michael Carrick does his thing, but really Kieran McKenna's the guy who puts everything in place during the week, so a lot does rest on his head, but I think he's an absolutely fantastic coach. As for Carrick, could have a point there, to be honest, but one thing I won't have you saying, Reece, is that Ole sits on his arse, right? I put this, he's a democratic style of coach. That's what he does.
I like him.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean? We're all welcome to our opinion. It's not about, you know what I mean? A lot of people think that as well, but I don't personally. I think he's a democratic style of coach. That's what he likes to do. He's putting a bit of faith in the players. He's not always sat there. He does get up when he needs to. And also, it's early doors in the season, so he's probably testing it as well and seeing if his players, see if he can put his faith in his players, see if they will deliver on what they've been doing in training and what he's talked about in his pre-match talk in the dressing room. And if that doesn't continue to work in his favour, then I think you will see him get off his arse, get down there, and ask him what the fuck are you doing. You know what you meant.
You can see what he does. You can see what he does behind the scenes, and I admire that in terms of like he has got a lot of people say he doesn't have a temper in him. Like he does actually have like a strong reactionary side. You saw it during Project Restart. Like people were saying, he doesn't react. There was a video of him having a go at Harry Maguire. That's our club captain, and if he isn't getting a bollocking for a poor performance, then that's when you'd be like, okay, Ole, what's going on? But he had a bad game, and he went for it. And yeah, the Lingard one, he did have a yell at him, but I'm not saying like do it all the time. I never
Yeah.
said be animated all the time. I said like just be a little bit. But behind the scenes, you can see that he's doing a lot, and that's what I praise him for. That a lot is what he does behind the scenes, like the Sir Alex type. Like for that, I'm glad he's not a Pep or a Klopp, because that would be just too much, and that would kill team morale. I like the fact he's more behind the scenes. Even if he's on the touchline just a little bit, I'd be a bit more happier. But I like how he handles himself. I like that.
Well, for me, like my favorite thing that I ever saw from Solskjaer was before he took over. Did you ever see it? And he's coaching Molde, and he's screaming at the guys on the training pitch just because I think it was just about the finishing or something like that. Because I think in his mind it's like he's calm, but then when he loses his mind, like for example, like Mark said or Brown Eyed, whoever said it against Lingard, that they know when he's pissed off. Rather than screaming the whole time or not being quiet the whole time, he just chooses his moments. I'm like, that's fine. I know it can be kind of frustrating that he's just sitting there, but I never get that argument of like he should be doing more, because that's just not his style. And if it's working, it's working. If it's not, it's not. But like, I think the issue is him just shouting at them. He's not going to do anything,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I did have this up before. Big shout out to a Man United fan all the way in the US of A. Hope you're good, my man. Hope you're well. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are still there,
the one thing I don't like, comments wise towards Ollie is, I think I seen it the other day. It was a comment about he doesn't like he laughs every time we lose.
Right, yeah.
Like he doesn't the one thing Ollie does is like he doesn't like to show a change in his character. If he's laughing or smiling, you just know it. He's not just a manager, he's a fan. He is feeling it in the most important place, and that's right here. He feels it. But to just say, he laughs when we lose, he's not particularly laughing. He's just trying to condone himself like in an appropriate manner. Like he's not going to do a Mourinho and sulk every 2 bloody seconds.
You're quite right. I do. He does laugh a bit, doesn't he? People get on his back on that. On like, why are you laughing? We're just fucking lost. When we lose, I don't sit around sulking all day, depressed and that. You know what I mean? I'll pick myself up when I get on with life. You know what I mean? I like smiling. It's my favourite. Anyway,
2-1 to Liverpool.
Oh, I said not to tell us. Anyway, moving on. The question for the bad. We walked into this topic talking about fatigue players obviously looking unfit. So, guys, the question, and join in the comments. Don't forget to join in the comments. Out of the current Man United team, who do you think would be most likely after the match to be caught with an ice cream rather than being in an ice bath?
Oof.
So that question is, who do you think from the current Man United team, and some people are going to go, don't be so mean to our own players. Fuck it, it's tongue-in-cheek. We're having a bit of a laugh. Who do you think could be most likely to be found with an ice cream rather than an ice bath after the game? And I'm going to come to middle for diddle, Reese.
Oh, it had to be me first, Christ. This is the one, like out of the 3 topics, this is the one that I just could not come to a conclusion because I was stuck between 4 players. And four. One of them is not Luke Shaw. Just saying, one of them is not Luke Shaw.
Is this because you're thinking outside the box because you thought everybody else might say Luke Shaw?
Oh, aye, and I don't like the comments he gets. For me, it would be between Brandon Williams, Daniel James. Funnily enough, Jamie's got it. 3rd one, Marcus Rojo, and the 4th one, just because it would be just so funny, David De Gea. But for me, my choice is in fact Nemanja Matic. Outside a bit, Nemanja Matic, just because he's like the older guy in the starting 11. He's just one of those guys that he's just like laid back when he wants to be, but he's an absolute animal. And I'd be like, imagine him just walking past, be like, "Fuck you lot, I don't need a bath. I'm gonna eat my ice lolly." Like, how you doing? Here's my cornet, or here's my rocket lolly. How you doing? Yeah.
Here's my rocket lolly. I'd love it if you had a rocket lolly. Or a fab, or a screwball. Hey, I got the bubble gum. Jamie's gone. I'll come into the comments in a minute. Jamie's gone with Marcus Rojo. James, come to you next, mate. Who is the most likely to be seen after the match with an ice cream rather than an ice bath?
Well, your obvious answer is Luke Shaw, isn't it? Because he's a bit of a fatty bum. But I'm not going to go with that because it's too obvious. It's too easy. So I want to go. I've seen it in the comments as well. So I'm going to go Phil Jones because he knows there's absolutely no chance he's playing the game after, is it? So he don't really need to take an ice bath and prepare. He can take it easy, have an ice cream, probably have a beer as well while he's in the changing room with everyone. I think he's just coasting until he gets his free transfer away to someone like West Ham or somewhere like that. So yeah, I go Phil Jones.
Phil Jones, just because he gives zero fucks. He's not got any playing time. He's just sat there with an ice cream. Absolutely.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that sounds. I can buy into that one. Joe, are you saying who's most likely after a match to be seen with an ice cream than being in an ice bath?
I'm surprised no one has said, but it seems to be pretty obvious that it's Lee Grant.
Lee
Grant is like at best a fourth choice keeper currently, at worst, but probably fifth because Joe Pereira's on loan. He's probably even below a couple of reserve underage keepers. I wouldn't even say anyone even recognizes him if he hangs around Carrington at all. So so if he went in to have an ice bath after a match, he'd probably be arrested because they think that someone's breaking and entering. So I think the likelihood of him having a lonely ice cream off a vendor with no one knowing who he is, sulking into it but wiping his tears with £50 notes, I think is more likely than any other player.
I like that.
I love that idea. The fact that nobody will fucking recognise, just be sat in ice bath. Is this fucking weirdo? Are you? It's that lad who told us where ice cream van was last week.
Phil Jones gets tactically injured. Lee Grant gets his ice lollies.
Exactly. Yeah, we both get paid huge. So
stealing 11.
Before I do mine, I'll have a look through the comments. We've got Luke Shaw. I think he's quite an obvious one, isn't he? Big up to Mark. Phil Jones as well. Mark's going. Phil Jones just thinks they're all having ice creams. Mark thinks they're all having ice cream. Should I say? Taron's gone with Phil Jones.
No surprise there.
Yeah. I like this one. It's probably brain freeze with all the faces that Phil Jones does anyway. I am going for the same one Mr. Rollins has gone for. I'm going for Harry Maguire is most likely to be sat there with an ice cream and an ice bath, only because I think Maguire's a bit of a simpleton, isn't he? He just sounds really simple. And I just like the thought of him sat there that whatever Dolores said, the fitness coach was called, can't remember now, going, right, come on, you need an ice bath, and Maguire, ice cream first, ice cream. And that's just the image I've got of Maguire in my head. I don't think he's got much between his ears. Great footballer.
I mean,
ice cream.
People unfairly call him a fridge. Call him a fridge freezer. Get his rocket lolly.
He's like the Happy Gilmore of football.
Guys, great. I tell you what, we've got a bit deep. We don't usually get this deep, but it's good. It's deep. It's fun. It's jovial.
Extensive.
We've done the good. We've done the bad. It's now time for the ugly. And this week's ugly is Jose Mourinho with his comment to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about wanting the penalty box to be 22 yards. Obviously, try to insinuate that the bigger the box is, the more penalties we're going to get. And this was because Ole made a little jibe. And I think he was only doing it in jest, wasn't he? I don't think there was any intention to possibly rile Jose. But coming back to Reese's comment about him always being happy, and you never know if he's sad or if he's hurting, he might have actually been trying to rile Jose, but still, Jose bit really hard. Jose was rattled, and he just tried to put down Ole, and I'm sure Ole will still be laughing about it because Jose,
he's like a pet chihuahua.
Jose was like checking the size of the goal, wasn't he? He just looked like the worst Vogue model ever. Don't you know what he was doing? He just looked.
Yeah, he had these. He had a mask on. I'm not sure if it was sellotape or something, but he was standing beside the goalpost measuring them. I'm like, you're way out of your depth here, mate. You clearly don't know the measurements. Let someone else do it.
Yeah, completely. Go on, Reece, I'll come to you first, in fact. But what do you think about the whole Jose? Do you reckon Ole did it on purpose, getting ready for the game at the weekend?
Oh, I 100% think he did it on purpose, and I don't blame him. I like the idea of every manager's got to go in and get in the head. It's all about mind games. And frankly, Mourinho, everyone will agree, Mourinho, he's box office. He's box office, and he really does kick on. And once he kicks off as well, it's even funnier. And he, just like I said 2 seconds ago, he is a pet chihuahua. He bites back, and But obviously, Chihuahuas are. Ugh. But even like when he bites back, it's so funny. Like I've seen Mourinho bark and sulk and all that, but this was just totally different. And I was like, a manager with so much less experience than you has got in your head. He's flipped you out, and now you're crying, bitching, and moaning. And I was laughing my ass off. It was so funny.
He has. I reckon. I hope now that continues all week. I know Ollie at the press conference on Friday. I hope he really goes to town.
He could always just make a joke that if he's still irrelevant in football, he's still an outdated manager. Like, frankly, just make comments on his tactics. Frankly, you're fine.
You could be, but I think talking about tact, I think Ollie's got a bit more tact about him, not to go that harsh on it.
Probably does.
Little silly jovial comments like he did. What are you saying, Joe?
Sure, look, who gives a fuck about what Mourinho says or does anymore? Like, he's an absolute waste of space of a manager. Like, I guarantee he wasn't actually offended by what Ollie said at all. He just said it was a good opportunity to just get what he perceived. Not even that he perceived the dig, but just someone got up on him a little bit, made a comment about him in the press. Instead of having fun with it, he just kind of went for the jugular, and he can honestly go fuck himself. He's a useless piece of shit.
Yeah,
he's a bully. He's a bully as well. Like, that's the one thing I don't like. And it's been shown. Yeah, it's been revealed to the world now, like how bad a human being like he is. Like a lot of people credit for him as somebody who can motivate players, but the way he's treated people over the years as well. And you saw, like, I haven't watched every episode, but I've watched a few episodes of was it All or Nothing? Appropriate because it Spurs nothing trophies in the last 12 years. 12, 13 years, nothing is the perfect name for them. And it's going to be nothing when Mourinho gets sacked. They'll no win a trophy again. But the way he was calling out the likes of like Danny Rose and Dele Alli, I mean, I don't particularly like those two, but they're still good players in their profession. Like they're still at the top of their game, and the way he was treating them is like totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. You shouldn't be making comments with people like that. And frankly, how he's still working in football baffles me. Like, he should be far away from football as possible. Like, he can be a pundit. Nobody will listen to him anyway. But he should not be managing a football team because of the way he treats people. He's a disgusting human being.
There is literally zero love in the house for Jose Mourinho. I can smell the hatred from Ireland and Scotland all the way from over here, and also from where again is residing, because the best way to shut him up is by battering Spurs on Sunday. He's really not worth any airtime. Hideous creature.
Hideous creature. She called him that the other day as well.
Jim, what are you saying? Do you think Ollie was just having, a bit of fun, a bit of a crack, and Jose took it too much to heart because he gets easily rattled, or do you think Ollie is a master of mind games?
I want to start off by saying, as much as I want to, I can't hate Jose Mourinho. I dislike him. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't like him, but the fact that he's just a pure shithouse, I absolutely love it. I think he clearly wasn't backed by the board. He got second for us, which I can respect, but he obviously tried to turn Pogba into a centre back, so he was done from that point. But I think Ole is so deep in his head that he just can't escape. But, as soon as Fernandes started scoring penalties, Mourinho made a comment on it, just completely out of the blue. That was completely unprovoked, I think. So he needs to spend some of his huge wages on a therapist or something like that. Just this obsession with United that he's got. But it reeks of, when like your ex-girlfriend goes and gets a new boyfriend and you just say horrible things about him to make yourself feel better. That's what it feels like with Mourinho and United.
He reeks of desperation.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. I think he's just trying to stay relevant because his tactics haven't stayed relevant. So I think he's opened his personality will. And that's all I can say. So dislike him, don't hate him, but he's just not really worth the time or effort anymore. He makes an entertaining TV show, though. I'll give him that.
He does, and he is full of shit houses. I love the comparison to when your ex gets a new fella, just like you deserve each other, you pricks. You'll need a 22-inch box. She's got a 22-inch box. I don't know what I'm saying now. Fuck it, I'm trying to do it.
She's got a 20-inch TV. I went and bought a 60-inch.
Let's have a look what we've got here. Ollie was only having, this is what I thought, Ollie was only having a laugh. Jose was trying to make him bite. I hope Ollie doesn't bite either. Right, so guys, in the comments, the question for the ugly is obviously Jose gets easily rattled. It doesn't take much to rattle his cage these days. He's a very unhinged individual. But my question is, except for Jose Mourinho, who do you think will be the easiest person to rattle and how? I'm trying to, I didn't make that specific to you guys, but I'm going to make it specific to the guests. Possibly like a manager in the Premier League now. Who do you think would be the easiest one to rattle and how would you rattle them? Joe, come to you first, dude.
David Moyes, and just show him a picture of Wilfred Zaha.
Done.
Yeah, that's it.
Dead. Why did I just have a feeling that was coming?
Oh, mega brilliant. So for those in the comments, if you missed it, the question for the ugly section is, except for Jose Mourinho, who else do you think would be easily rattled and how would you do it? Joe said he would easily rattle David Moyes by showing him a picture of David Zaha. Hopefully, a picture of David Zaha hanging out the back of his daughter.
And it's Wilfred Zaha, or is that just
What did I say?
David Zaha? I thought you were naming their child or something.
At least it wasn't Luis Zaha like he did the other time.
I did Luis Zaha last week.
That makes more sense. That makes more sense, to be fair.
James, what are you saying, dude? Who do you think could be easily rattled?
It's got to be Jurgen Klopp, hasn't he? He gets rattled by the weather, not even people. We didn't win because it was a little bit windy in the stadium. So I think the best way to rattle him, Frank Lampard tried it pretty easily by just calling him cocky. I think that's basically what I called him. But I think, yeah, you just got to go on the pitch and blow on the ball a little bit and make it move, and he'll be absolutely rattled. He won't chop like it for 5
Jesus
months.
Christ, Mark.
If Liverpool don't win the league, it'll be because you went on the pitch and blowed on the ball a little bit. So yeah, I'd go with Jurgen Klopp.
This is true. He gets pissed off with the weather. How angry must you be at life if you wake up in the morning, open the curtains, just like, weather. It doesn't matter what it is, just really angry with it. What an angry little man.
Weather.
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 W Sky. But it's true. He would have been a nightmare. He would have been a nightmare when that beach ball and he conceded that goal.
Yeah.
Wow. He would have been like, fucking Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Just going absolutely. He won it. Mad guy. I think James put Pep Guardiola just because we can. And Mark has gone with Fat Frank just because he needs to be watching his diet. Absolutely love it. Oh, I love this section. Brown Knight loves it too. Who we've not been to? Reese, who do you think could, apart from Jose Mourinho, who do you think could be rattled and how?
Fuck, I was struggling with this one. This was just too funny. Marcel Bielsa's an obvious one, but he's not my choice. I would have to go with Ian Holloway. Lol. I'm gonna have to say Dean Smith.
Yes.
The Aston Villa manager. Just like it's just like you can literally walk past the guy and say you're managing a sleeping giant, but you'll never be as good as predecessors, and it'll probably rile him. It'll just wind him up. But one thing I will say is I can always just go, do you remember that time you had a goal that was ruled off because the manager's buzzer didn't go off on his watch?
Yes, that'd piss it right off, wouldn't it? I'd love that one as well, mate. Yes, apparently I do look like Ian Holloway because I've got the same shaped head and I'm ginger. You know what I mean?
How many passes you've got? You get called Mr. Testicle. You get called Testicle Guy, and you get called Ian Holloway. Yeah. There's another one that I think you get called as well, but I can't remember.
What's his name from EastEnders?
Max Brannan.
Max Brannan. Yeah, I've had
which makes sense.
Colin Farrell, Brad Pitt.
Colin Farrell. Okay. I don't see those two. Sadly.
Wait, do you mean you look like their testicles?
No, he
Yeah.
looks at their faces.
Yeah.
But better looking Ian Holloway. Yeah, to be fair, an Ian Holloway who uses a little bit of moisturiser. That's probably
Likes his hamsters. He likes his hamster penises.
What?
That's a real thing, I think, isn't it?
He does. Like, he's like, it
Yeah.
was mad that he came out with that in a press conference. He actually came out with that. I don't know what he was smoking that day, but
It's Finger who likes hamsters in it.
he's
What's
a
his
strange
name?
human being.
What's his name? Who likes gerbils? He put one up his arse. American actor.
Gere, but he didn't.
Who?
Richard Gere.
Richard Gere, that's it.
Yeah.
Richard Gere apparently put a hamster with a bit of string round its tail, shoved it up its arse, and then when he had enough, he pulled it out. Ricky Gervais does a good point on it. He goes, you know what I mean? Making lines up is awful because even though Richard Gere did do that, if Richard Gere said, Richard Gere ever invited around my house, right?
Yeah.
And I just saw a gerbil in the corner, I'd be like,
Yeah.
I'd think
Is
twice.
Is this one going up there?
Yeah, exactly.
The sun has went down. The moon's up. Oh shit!
Brown Knight's had enough of the gerbil talk. He's out of here. He's out of here. Anyway, so that's it. I've got my answer to my question. Who do I think will be the easiest to rattle, and how? And I'm with you, Mark Briggs. I think it will be Fat Frank. Just for loads of reasons. You could be like, you need to start counting those points, Frank, on your slimming world fucking calendar. Telling him that John Terry's been through his misses.
Probably has.
Showing him pictures of Paul Scholes and what an actual real midfielder looks like, and telling him, wouldn't VAR have been beautiful when you hit that goal against Germany? It'll never a goal, even though it hurts me.
It doesn't hurt me. I really enjoyed that. That
won't hurt you. It won't hurt
To be fair, so did I.
Maybe.
Right, and he just looks like a North London cocky, arrogant prick as well. Do you know what I mean? That's what I just. I want to bring him down. I want to bring him down just for that reason. But I found out today that Frank Lampard has an IQ of 150.
Does he?
Yes, he has an IQ similar to Einstein and fucking Carol Vorderman. So if I'm there slamming him and trying to give him shit, he's just gonna wipe the floor with me. He's gonna be like, oh, okay, Russell, but the paradox is only a conflict between reality and your feelings of what reality ought to be. And I'd
and then I would be like,
fuck off, Mensa.
Yeah, but Russie, that would end him right there. And also, he's that intelligent, but yet still votes Tory. So, he can't really be that gifted.
Well,
we already know.
We're not a political broadcasting channel. You've got a right to believe in any.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And the one thing you could say as well is once his managerial career will be done, we already know what his job's going to be. He's going to be going to work with his Uncle Harry.
Yeah, of course.
Roly-polies all round.
I think John Gray is trying to get a point across that one of us has got an egghead. I'm not sure which one is aiming this at. If you could be more specific.
John Gray sat downstairs in my uni house, so he's just trying to wind me up. Don't listen to him.
We love you, John Gray. You're doing a great job.
The only lap
it says 150 is not that high. What, mate?
Yeah, it is high actually on the scale for intelligence. High. So considering there's I think Stephen Hawking had an IQ I think of 187. So
yeah, that's super high. That's
there you go.
Anything 140 is Mensa, isn't it? So yeah, you're not fit.
Working.
You've got it's so mental. But the one thing we can say in the Premier League, there's only one Lamp that's acceptable, and that's Lamptey.
Lamptey's a good player. He's going to be a baller to watch. Also on Fat Frank as well. It made sense when I was reading that about him because I read an article on him once and how his dad would not let him play football unless he did his homework. He had to do his homework and he had to do proper drills afterwards, like football drills, really instill professionalism into him.
One thing I will say is I don't like him as a manager, but one thing I will say in terms of goal scoring midfielders, he was one of the best, but it's still always Paul Scholes over Lampard.
Yeah. Always Paul Scholes. Paul Scholes forever in a day.
He's actually written children's novels as well.
He was.
He has.
But they must be shit because we've never heard of that. So
Frank has.
Yeah. That's
I
what I
don't
mean.
think children. Do you know, as a writer myself, and you're a writer, Joe.
Yeah.
I've dabbled with all kinds of different genres, like mainly comedy, but I have dabbled with children, and I think children's books are the fucking easiest ones to do, especially when you've had a kid. You know what I mean? All you have to do is put some words together, like trigger words, like ice cream and fab lolly, like Reese was going on about, and the dog had a bone, and
JT around the corner.
Yeah. So
one thing
is stupid book.
Sorry, Russ. Someone, I think, Mr. Ben Pierce, is spreading lies in the chat right now.
Where is it?
What?
I will say, Mr. Ben, that was a different Joe. If definitely wasn't me, as I would not want that Humpty fuck near our football club. And thank you very much, Mark, for standing up.
Joe, if you did say that, I'd be very disappointed with you, sir. I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, I would never ever say that.
Coming in here, causing trouble like that, spelling my name wrong.
Spelling your name wrong.
It's two L's and there's two L's and I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
Correcting it.
Ben knows that conflict sells, the bastard. He's trying to draw it. Yeah.
To quote an American, controversy creates cash.
Have all for United been hacked?
I'm going to kill Ben. This is all right.
Joe said Lampard was a bit off, for fuck's sake.
I never said any of this. And look, he's thinking of more stuff to type now, the absolute bastard.
The only thing that Joe's ever done wrong was he's hosting this morning when he got it a bit wrong with his late exit of the show. That's the only thing he's done wrong.
Try to put your fingers out for this one.
Never let him host Never let him host again.
Okay.
Is it just National Bully a Joe Day?
I will say this one is complete truth. Thank you very much, Ben, for finally telling the truth. That is everything.
I'd take Lampard for being Dan. To say that.
I am now. I didn't think it before the show, but I will say it now.
Is that criticizing coaching?
To be fair, Ben, I reckon Frank Lampard's had a career in football. He's got an IQ of 150. I won't lie, Ben. I would probably choose Frank as well, just off that premise as on its own. Right, quickly look in the comments before we go. I don't think Frank will be managing football in 2049 because Ollie has a 30-year contract, mate. What?
As much as I would like that in football, you're not going to get that sort of longevity anymore. The longest manager from the Premier League was Eddie Howe and Sean Dyche, and they're no longer. Well, one of them's no longer in charge. You're not going to get that longevity anymore. The likes of Sir Alex and Arsene Wenger are long gone. You get if you're lucky, if you get at least 2 or 3 years now as a manager, you'll be lucky.
Yeah.
You're getting the piss out of you today, Joe, aren't you?
What's the late exit? What's that?
It's because I mentioned it, blame me.
What did I do?
The way you exited the show this morning, you were a little bit late of your timing for how did I exit this way? Should I say it like this? Should I say it like that? And you got kind of fucked up for it.
We've got a grass. We've got a grass in the mist.
I knew.
No, I just take the piss. That's what I do. I take the piss. I'm surprised I actually remembered.
Well, if I didn't notice it, then it didn't happen. Okay, and the video is a lie. It's a lie. There.
It's null and void.
Yeah, James.
James is sitting there I'm dying inside.
I don't even know what's going on.
Right, guys, we've been over an hour now, so we're going to get out of here. We're going to call it a day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, and just enjoy the rest of the content we've got coming.
Don't KTS.
And what?
And don't KTS.
And don't KTS, yes, which was kill the
spirit.
Kill the spirit. Don't KTS. Exactly. Great final words. We won't finish on Joe's because we'd still be here in another 10 minutes. So, ladies and gents, take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.